Hey, folks, this is Lonzo, the Godfather of West Coast Hip Hop. We're about to get this party started. This is how we do it every Tuesday, most of the time, about this time. But today, I got to get a little early. I got to handle some business. Before I go, I got to do the show. And this is how we kick it off, folks. From the West Coast to the East Coast and everything between, folks. From Eve after dark to concerts in the park. You're live with your boy Lonzo, the Godfather of West Coast Hip Hop. Me and my man Dusty on a Tuesday. Sometimes on a Wednesday, sometimes at 4 o'clock, sometimes at 6. But hey, we here today, folks. Let's get this party started, Dusty.
Yeah. What up, Lonzo?
Hanging out, man. What's happening with you, Doc?
Can't complain, man. Trying to keep up with you, man.
Woo! Don't do it to yourself. Get you a nice civil service job. Get you a nice girl, a white picket fence. Be all right.
For sure, man. For sure. Well, let's jump into it, man. Before we get started, I'm going to say shout out to the chat fam. Slowly trickling in. Make sure you guys hit that like button before you get comfortable. And if this is your first time joining the channel, welcome to N.W.A. Stories with Alonzo. You are in for a treat. Now, Alonzo, amongst a few things that I want to discuss today, let's jump right into the first topic, which is the YouTube channel Hip Hop Stories, which we've covered several times on this program. We just did Clientele a couple weeks ago. Okay. They broke down World Class Wrecking Crew, N.W.A., and they do it in a way that's, pretty entertaining. They have animation and things that go along with it. Well, this week they released the DJ Yella edition on Hip Hop Stories. And of course, whenever Alonzo Williams' name is mentioned, we got to break it down and see if it's the same way Alonzo remembers it. So before we do that, I'm gonna ask everybody to go over to Hip Hop Stories and hit that like button or that subscribe button for that channel and tell them Lonzo Williams sent you. Now, DJ Yella, from gangsta rap to the underground film industry, was the title. Now, the first thing that stuck out to me, we may have talked about it, we may have not, but let's discuss it again. DJ Yella is significantly older than the rest of the members of N.W.A. He's 8 years older than Cuban Ren. That's a big gap in age. You obviously knew that. Did you notice a little more maturity in DJ Yella, or was he acting like a kid? What do you remember about DJ Yella, even though he was 8 years older than the crew?
It wasn't no action different. I mean, it wasn't no different than his acting. Yella's a very playful person. I'll put it like that. Yella's right behind me. He was the second oldest member of the Wrecking Crew. He's right behind me. I think Yella might be 2 or 3 years behind me, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, he was always playful. I'm gonna put it like that.
So he blended in well with the guys who were
blended in well. No problem. Yella's real laid back dude. He ain't gonna say much until he get upset. Then he'll let it fly. But for the most part, he won't have much to say. Yella will be in the room. You'll never know he was there until he wants you to know he's there. Just like in the movie, he would say little snide shit, and it would be funny most of the time because he always had a sense of humor. And but when he got on stage, he was a whole different person.
Okay. Let's go back to the age thing. And in the 80s, before Wikipedia, before you could just look up someone's stats and get their real age and where they were born and everything, a lot of artists would not tell the truth about their age. Eazy specifically, we've talked about he in a couple of songs, he said he was 16, and then he had the whole world thinking he was 16 at one point. But DJ Yella being 8 years significantly older than the group, is that something that would have been kept more of a secret back then?
You know what? Maybe not, because nobody back then, we didn't have any perimeters yet. We didn't have anything to really check to see, hey man, is this guy too old to be doing this? Whatever the case, it wasn't like that. Hip hop was so new, and what they were doing, nobody cared. And you got to also understand, he wasn't a standout out front person. He was part of the group, but he wasn't a out front person. So that probably made his presence a little different, and his age not be so much of a factor.
Okay. Now Yella was. Oh, go ahead.
No, I know I was always concerned about my age because by me being older, being actually a baby boomer, all those guys are Gen Xers. I'm the only baby boomer. So when you were raised a different way, you pretty much have a different vision on how things are supposed to go. And that was always my concern. But go ahead.
Did you ever go back to you real quick? Did you ever think that? Did you ever get to a certain age where you're like, yeah, I'm too old for this shit? Meaning the music industry. I know you ventured off because the club was, you know, you were doing good with the club and everything. But was there ever a time in your head mentally where you were like, yeah, I think I might be too old for this?
You know, I'm gonna say yes and no. I when the shit got crazy, when the shit got crazy and was everybody was shooting and getting killed, I was too old for that. Okay, but
Mm.
now as you start seeing folks of my generation starting to get booked again. Damn it! I thought I put my damn thing on my phone on silent. Um, People start getting booked again. Now things have changed significantly.
Mm.
Okay, and that's the part that for me that makes a big difference. Back in the day, yeah, I ain't got time to be running through the hotel rooms and getting shot at and get jumped on. Nobody asked me what set I ain't got time for that, dude. I never have, never will. But to today, things have changed so much. Yeah, I go out there and have some fun. So no, yes and no. At one time, yes.
Mhm.
Nowadays, no.
Speaking of getting booked, we briefly mentioned it, but November, World Class Wrecking Crew will be on stage, man. Tell us about that. How do you feel? You ready? Excited? Scared? All the above?
All the above. You know, I forget I'm not playing for kids.
Mm.
There's more AARP cars out in the audience than there's going to be on the stage. So, and I'm playing for a lowrider car show, and lowrider car shows have always been pretty open, especially the oldies, man. You know, and we got juice surgery, cabbage patch, lovers, and turn off the lights. And by the time they realize how old we are, we're gonna be backstage again. So it's all right. It's all good. I'm looking forward to it, Doc.
Yeah, yeah, me too, man. That's gonna be a very fun time seeing my dude on stage doing his thing.
Well,
Now let's go back to the
didn't
yeah.
you go to the Red Bull party we did a couple years ago?
No, I never got a chance to make it. I had
Oh, okay
something
then.
that yeah, never got a chance to.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Back to the documentary on YouTube, Hip Hop Stories. Go show them some love and tell them Alonzo Williams sent you. It's Hip Hop Stories on YouTube. They just did a piece on DJ Yella from gangster rap to the underground film industry. Now, something that was brought up, and that was Yella was listening to a song by the Tom Tom Club, and the opening line said Yella out loud. And allegedly, apparently, unknown DJ heard that and told Yella, "That's your new name." Do you remember any of that? Were you around for that?
Yeah, that wasn't true.
Damn. See,
That,
break it
that
down.
that wasn't true. Yella and Unknown, Yella can be hard headed. Unknown can be stubborn. And they got into a debate one day. And I'm sitting right there. We're at Eve After Dark. And Yella's original name was Brick Hard, which nobody ever liked that name. It was Brick Hard. Okay. Um, and him and Unknown got into a debate one time. And Unknown called him a piss colored son of a bitch. Okay. You piss colored son of a bitch. You just fucking yellow for no reason. And they just transitioned into yellow. That's how it jumped off. Okay. That's how it jumped off. Unknown gave him that name and it stuck. That's no bullshit. There was a Tom Tom club named Yella, but Yella, yeah, yeah. We didn't, you know. Unknown probably got it from that and stuck him with it, but Yella didn't do that.
Sometimes the truth is better than fiction, man. He called him a piss colored
Son of a bitch.
MFer, huh?
This kind of son of a bitch. I'm trying to tell you. And Yella was like, no, 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 no. Fuck it. That's how we were. That's how we argue, man. We talk about each other real bad. But it's all, we smiling the whole time. You know, we
Yeah.
smiling the whole time, and then we get through. Everybody get adapt, go on their separate way.
Yeah, yeah. It was called the Dozens or whatever, you know.
Call it
Some people
dozens.
call it the
Yes, sir.
Dozens, bagging on your mama, all that.
Yeah.
Man, it was a different time. Can you go into that a little bit more, Lonzo? You know, I don't think that happens as much more. I see kids every once in a while, but back in the day, if you had a big nose, we call you big nose, motherfucker. If you had a big belly, you know, if you're skinny, but it was all love. It was all friends. You black bastard, you yellow piss colored mother. Can you talk to us about that time and how I think those times are slowly faded away?
They faded away. For the most part, they have faded away in person. I see stuff on YouTube sometimes. They have little bagging sessions. I haven't heard any Your Mama jokes lately. They used to have a show called Your Mama, and they would tell mama jokes on the show. But in the streets, people are too sensitive these days, man. It's too many people out here willing to shoot you over hurting their feelings, and that's just something nobody really wants to be bothered with. So a lot of people keep their feelings to themselves unless it's your homie. You got to have a good homie, man, to be able to talk about somebody and not get offended that they laugh with you and not be plotting to kill your ass because you embarrassed them. And that's what we're dealing with these days. You got a lot of people that just can't take being embarrassed. And you hear all kind of shit. Too many people laugh at your expense, and now it's a problem. And it is what it is.
Yep, that's facts, man. If you have any questions for the Godfather of West Coast Hip Hop, post them in the comment section. I'll definitely get to them. I see a couple of good ones already that we will get to second half of the show. But right now we're discussing Yella and the documentary on Hip Hop Stories YouTube channel. Now, we've talked about this on our channel, Lonzo, and this was brought up in the documentary as well. Tell us about Yella tearing down Uncle Jam's Army flyers and replacing them with world-class Wrecking Crew flyers, and how dangerous that was back then.
Well, back in the day, that's how Yella got to me. I needed somebody with a car and they wanted to make some money. Because me and Uncle Jam's Army and some other promoters were having big problems. Posters were our main source of advertising, and they were expensive even back then. They're like 75 cents a piece. Plus, you got to pay somebody, hang them up. You got to buy nails, gas, food, the whole 9 yards. It's a process. So to send a crew out with 100, 200 posters might cost you $400 altogether. Okay, by the time the hanging materials, paying the crew, and it was cool for me because we was open Friday and Saturday. Most guys only open one night, so they would come in and try to hang over you or hang over you. And because we always had the best spots, because we were there, we had posters every week. We had a standing order of posters at Kobe Poster. We had different colors every 2 weeks. We rotate these two colors, these two day glow colors every 2 weeks. And these guys would give me a problem. And some new guys came around. I had my boy Phil told me, I'm looking for somebody to snatch these posters down. Who can you find me? He brought me Yella. And Yella was also a DJ, but he first came to me as a poster bounty hunter. I told him I was gonna give him I think it was like a quarter a poster or something like that. And shit, Yella came back with all the dance promoters posters. Anybody lose a dog, babysitters, house for rent, room for rent. He snatched everything down. So he got me on that one, but I respect his hustle. I just said posters. I didn't say which ones. And shortly after that, he started spinning. My boy Dr. Rock left. Yella took over in the prime slot, and that's how he joined the crew. But he came in as a poster snatcher. I had a bounty on posters.
Now, posters were pretty damn expensive back then, Lonzo. How upset were you when someone would take down your poster?
Well, my guys would be more upset than me because they actually did the work. So before they could get paid, I would make the round. They knew the route. Before they would get paid, I'd get upset the next morning and go double check, because people play with your money sometimes. Not my guys, but I want to make sure my shit was up. And a lot of places that we normally were supposed to be up, we weren't up. My guys were up and down, they did it. And you can tell because sometimes when they snatch your posters, they don't snatch them all. They don't have nothing to replace it with. So they'll snatch one side, but they'll snatch the other side. So you know your guys were here, but you just know that somebody got them. And we pretty much figured out what happened. So we went into what they say, like they say in the mafia, we went to the mattresses on the ass.
Can you talk to us about the process of making a poster back then from start to finish before you can just go into ChatGPT, type in a prompt, and they'll create a poster for you in 30 seconds? What was it like back then, Lonzo? All the materials you had to use? Talk to us.
Well, you had to go out. You had to go know where they made them at. First of all, it's Kobe Poster down in L.A. on 11th and Albany, off of Pico. And you go down there and you get a piece of paper and you start writing shit out. You only had so many letters per poster. Okay, you'll think it might have been 40 words or something, 40 letters, or 40 characters, or something like that. So you had to do a lot of abbreviation. And you write it out, and they would give you a proof a couple of days later. And once it was proved, you know, and sometimes they knew your style enough, they could just go and print them, whatever. Because only thing changed on my posters was the title, the location. Every Friday and Saturday was always the same, and with the same group doing it. So we saved a lot of time by doing that. And I think we had fax machines by that time too. We had fax machines. I think we just started getting fax machines in the mid 80s, late 80s. No, we first started, we had to go down and do it by hand. Everything was done by hand. Everything, we had to write them out right there in the print shop. And we'd make little notes, big, little stuff like that, and give it to him. He would assign a number to the text to give the typesetter, because everything was done in typesetting, hand, literally. Well, no computer doing this. A guy had different big ass rack of letters, box letters about this big, depending on what font they was. They would put them on this big old rack, and he hammer them down and line them all up. And depending on what the main line was, it may be 40 point, where your title, your name of your group might have been 12 point, but by the time you got through it, you had a poster. It was all centered and everything.
Were there some posters or flyers that were more expensive than others due to different coloring or graphics or things that you had to use?
We never did color posters. We only did block posters. Now they did make posters for political things. We never did that. That was way expensive. They could do 3-color posters, and we didn't mess with that. Everything was either every once in a while we might get one color or day glow. That's what it was day glow. That made it would stand out in the daytime. You can see them posters down there half a mile away.
Are those the ones that we see off the freeway? They're a certain style.
Yeah.
And they have the yellows and the pinks and things like that.
Yeah. The best poster was yellow paper with red ink or day glow. Those are always the best ones that stood out the most.
And some of these questions we've been asked a million times on the show, but we always have new listeners and not everyone gets to tune in all the time. And today we are talking about DJ Yella, specifically the documentary on Hip Hop Stories YouTube channel. But Lou Perez wants to know, did Yella actually hit up Lonzo's girl?
I'm not going to say hit up my girl, but at that time, we all had a bunch of girls. And if you hadn't knocked her yet, she was up for grabs. That was pretty much the rule. If it wasn't your girlfriend per se, she was pretty much up for grabs. So if you met somebody at the club and you had plans on taking them to Denny's after the thing, and you hadn't like closed the deal yet, shit, somebody else can jump on it. But most of my girls, me and Yella don't look shit alike. So most of the girls that liked him did like me. So it may have happened very spared, very very rarely, very rarely. But of course, it's a movie, so they got to make it look like something. I'm the boss. I had all the bitches. I got the Jerry Curl and the money. Come on, baby.
But it wasn't nothing back then to, like you just said. If a girl's open for game, she's open for game, and if your homeboy's slipping, then she's yours, right?
Yeah. We never argued about no shit like that. Nobody really cared. It was Eve after dark. We had rotation, dude. It was rotation.
Yeah. All right. So the video also mentioned that Dr. Dre snuck into Eve After Dark at 16 years old, and he was snuck in by his uncle who was working the door. Did Dr. Dre's uncle work the door at Eve After Dark? And do you remember that time?
No, he didn't work the door. He worked the floor.
Right? Talk to us.
Dickie, his uncle's name is Richard. We called him Dickie. Dickie worked the floor. He was a huge dude. He was a big football playing cat. And I let Dre, I don't know why people be making up lies and shit. I let Dre in the club. Okay? When Dre came to the club, him and Eazy, I told the story 1,000 times, and it came copy and paste right. Dre and Eazy came to the club together. I'm downstairs just doing what I do to check on my security guards. And they walked up and they weren't dressed right. And I told them they couldn't come in. Dre started telling me who his family was. I said, cool, man. Dre actually got into the club before Dre got his uncle a job at the club. Okay. That's how Dickie got there. So Dickie couldn't have let Dre in the club because Dre started working there. Then Dickie came on board.
That's why I asked it just like that, because I knew I've heard that story 800 times on this show. So when I'm listening to that off top, I was like, that ain't real. That ain't real. Where did they get this stuff? You know what? And I'm gonna tell people out there now. A lot of people think Chat GPT is 100%. I use Chat GPT almost every day for my content, multiple times a day. And when I pull up stuff, I'm like, that is not true. I know hip hop like the back of my head. I'm like, that's not true. Okay, boom, that's not true. So just be careful. People think ChatGPT is gold. It's what they say it's they make mistakes. And I guarantee this is probably where this guy is getting a lot of his information from.
Probably so. Yeah, it's a lot of misconstrued stories out there right now. I mean, that's a bunch of them.
Yeah. Well, that's why we're here, man. And someone said last week that they hear other people talk about NWA, but they come right here to this channel for the real, because this is it right here. This is where you are going to get the real authentic story, especially with pretty much anything NWA. But let's see here. All right, so let's continue. So far, we found 2 inconsistencies in this 17-minute documentary. The story goes, one day, one of your DJs didn't show up to the eve, and Dre stepped behind the boards and challenged DJ Yella to a DJ battle. What can you tell us about that day from your perspective?
Never happened.
That's why I talk to me, man. 3.
Never happened. This is some fantasy bullshit. When I do believe that Unknown was on the tables, and he gave Dre a shot without my permission. Dre ended up on the tables. He wasn't supposed to be up there. It wasn't no challenge. He wasn't injured. These 2 guys don't challenge people. They're not confronters like that. Okay. And Dre did his Mr. Postman Planet Rock mix or Breakbeat mix, and it was a shit. It went over with me. And that's when I pulled him to the side. Hey man, what's happening with you? Blah 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 blah. And he reiterated. I knew his mom and his dad, which I do. And he stuck around after that. Those guys never competed. They would go back and forth showing each other how to do shit, but it was never, I tell you what they did compete on. The one thing that Dre and Yella competed on more than anything, how many girls they could get in a week. That's the only thing they competed on. That was the only time. It was every other than that, it was all love.
I picked these questions specifically because I was like, yeah, that ain't true. All right. But, we do these reactions not to diss this YouTube channel. I want everybody out there to think we're not dissing. This isn't a diss to hip hop stories. We're just correcting some of the inconsistencies of the story that have been told here dozens of times on this channel. All right. So, Lonzo, is it true that Yella taught Dre how to scratch?
Yes.
Okay. Break that down from what you know.
When I brought Curtis Blow to the Eve After Dark from New York to do what I call the Curtis Blow Blowout Christmas party. He brought Davey DMX, and before they got there, we were already playing the song in Eve After Dark called AJ Scratch. AJ Scratch was a big song in Eve After Dark. We want to know how they make that noise, how they make that sound, where that sound came from. And Davey DMX came back after the gig on a Saturday, hooked up his turntables and the Eve After Dark turntable in this mixer, and he showed Yella how he did it, put the penny on there, the whole 9 yards, and then Yella showed Dre. Simple as that. It wasn't, no. It was that's when the West Coast met the East Coast. These are the kind of things that people want to say they know about. You don't know nothing about it if you wasn't there. And that's the difference. I was fucking there. I bought the tickets. Then they made me go buy some 1200s. I had techniques at that time. I didn't have 1200s. I had like some 500, some more belt drive shit. And they're like, nah, man, we got, and they were $350 a piece. Oh my God, come on, man. And they was rare. It was hard to find them back then. We had to drive all the way to West Covina to find them, our first set of 1200s. Had to drive all the way to West Covina.
Yeah, see, this is why I love this stuff, Lonzo, and let's break this down, because if you had never brought Curtis Blow to LA, who brought Davey DMX, who taught Yella, if that never happened, hip hop history, specifically on the West Coast, would have changed dramatically. It's like the butterfly effect. If you take
Right.
that one thing away, West Coast hip hop history would have been so different. I mean, does that fathom in your head sometime how big that is, man?
You know what? It does until I realize I'm still. I don't have to prove myself, but I still get challenged by ignorant cats who don't know, who think they know what they're talking about, who think they know. I tell you what, for me, one of the hardest conversations in the world for me to have is with somebody from New York. New York guys swear they know LA hip hop. They swear, oh man, Uncle Jam's Army and nigga, you don't know. You need to shut up tonight. Fire up a joint and shut the fuck up. Okay? Fire up a joint, shut the fuck up, get you a beer, whatever your preference is, shut the fuck up. Because you don't know what you're talking about. It's like, dude, y'all don't, and that's why we doing our own anniversary party, 50th anniversary, because y'all don't know nothing about us. Y'all know about the surface cast. You don't know about the depth. We know about Cool Herc, Grandmaster Flash, Furious 5, Treacherous 3. We know all about them. We don't know all the intimate details, but we got the same kind of details that nobody don't really know. And you're looking at one of the guys who holds the key to all that shit.
Let me ask you, this is an off-base question, but I just interviewed someone who I feel is in your lane, meaning he was such a big inspiration to hip hop, but when his name is mentioned, people like, huh? Who's that? But I interviewed Murray Brumfield from Familia Records. Does that ring a bell to you? Are you familiar with that name?
I'm familiar with the label. I don't know Murray.
Okay, yeah, Familia Records, black dude from Compton. He's probably close to your age. His record label was established in 1990, Familia Records. They've done everybody from the Little Robs. I mean, you probably ran into him at a car show or something, but he's a black dude who is, he coined the term Chicano rap. And he is responsible for so many records that came out in that general area. I was just curious if that name rung a bell to you, but Familiar Records does ring a bell, right?
It does. It does. Definitely does. I'd have to see him. I mean, if I ain't mistaken, Lil Rob, he had a deal with Triple X, if I ain't mistaken, at one time. That might have been this distributor, because I used to sell Lil Rob records for Triple X. Yeah.
Get the heck out of here.
Yeah. Triple X was a label out of downtown LA. Peter Hewer and his partner, they did a couple of compilation albums on Dre. They were a punk label. Was it a punk label? They had distribution through Relativity, and they would do sub deals with other labels. And I think that Familiar Records might have been one of those labels. Don't hold me to that. I know I did Lil Rob, Brownside, and that Toker was Brownside, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we sold Brownside and Little Rob album. I think it was Little Rob or Black Rob, one of them two. But yeah.
Probably Little Rob, I'm sure, yeah.
If I ain't mistaken, they were all distributed by Triple X Records. And again, these are names that the average person don't know shit about. You have to be there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this 8 years we've done this show, and this is the first time I've heard of Triple X Records in that lane. So that's crazy, man. Yeah, I'm going to bring Murray Brumfield on the show, in the near future, maybe in the next couple of weeks, because I think you and him would have an amazing conversation. I just want to sit back and soak up everything. But all right, let's we're about almost halfway through the show, so I'm going to take this time to remind everybody to hit that like button real quick. If you have not already, it really helps out the channel. Just smash that like button. You guys don't know how important that is. It lets YouTube know we exist. It puts us in the algorithm and all that stuff. And if this is your first time joining the channel and you appreciate what you hear, you want that real West Coast hip hop history, the real stuff, not the Chat GPT stuff, the real stuff. From the man, Alonzo Williams, you're tuned into the right spot. Hit that subscribe button. You are tuned into N.W.A. Stories with Alonzo. Let's take this time, Alonzo, real quick before we get, not real quick, take your time doing it, but September 20th, big day for you. First off, you got your prostate cancer walk. Any updates? Break us down what's going on with that.
We'll have free prostate cancer checks right there with PSA checks. No fingers. Don't have to worry, baby. No fingers. Just PSA test. Willard Pugh. If you don't remember Willard Pugh, go back and watch CB4. He was Trustus. In CB4, he was played in RoboCop. Also played in he was Harpo in the color purple. We'll be doing a man-to-man conversation. You know, this one right here, man. I'm really feeling this one right here. I put a lot of work into this one right here. I'm feeling this is going to be the best year we ever had. People are calling me today, still trying to either get a booth or make sure everything is going on, man. Because this prostate cancer thing is some real shit right here in the hood, Doc. Black and brown men die from it more than anybody else because we got that macho hang up, the finger thing, man. It turns a lot of brothers off, and a lot of cats don't know that the finger is obsolete in most cases, and that's why we have to have prostate cancer awareness, because you have to know what's going on with your body so you can be here for the old school.
All right, Lonzo, this is where I need grown man advice myself, because I'm going through something right now and I'm scared. I heard shit about it, literally shit about it. But I got that kit, Lonzo, where I got to drink that stuff to flush out my system all night. And then I got to do the thing the next day, the colon. I'm scared, Lonzo. Man, help me grow some balls and do my thing, man, because I'm dreading that right now.
That ain't shit. The hardest part is drinking that stuff. The hardest part. Now, my nephew, I just had one last year. Yeah, I had one last year. That was my second one. The first one, I think they must have put some lemon juice over some beaver piss and gave it to me. That shit was nasty. Okay, that shit was nasty. Damn, that beaver piss, that chilled beaver piss, it ain't nothing nice, boy. The second time I did one this year, it wasn't that bad. I was all geared up mentally to, drink that beaver piss, lemon flavored beaver piss again, and it wasn't that bad. It still didn't go down good. And here's the bad part about it: because you gotta take it to the head. You just can't you can't sip it. You gotta take it to the head, and as you belch or as you do your thing with the little gas, whatever, you're gonna taste it and smell it shortly after that. But my nephew, he had to do a colonoscopy. They gave him an option for either grape or fruit punch. I think it's called Easy Out or Easy Go or something like that, or Go Easy or something like that. He give you a gallon of this shit, okay? He give you a whole gallon and half a gallon, whatever it is. You got to take this thing in a 3 to 4 hour period. And boy, when it kick in, it kick in. Clear your calendar, baby. Clear your calendar, because you ain't going nowhere unless you either sitting on the toilet or wearing a pamper, because it's coming down. But
I got to make sure I don't do it on a Tuesday, is what you're saying, right?
Don't do it on a Tuesday.
I'll be sitting here every 5 minutes. I got to go, Lance. I'll be right back.
Do it at 7 o'clock. But yeah, Doc, here's the next part. They're gonna knock you out. When you wake up, you're gonna have the best high you ever had in your life. Yeah, when you wake up, you're gonna have, shit, damn. Y'all got some of that to go, because boy, that shit was good, okay? That shit was good. They gave me propofol, okay? And I see why Mike like that shit, but you can't take it by yourself, because somebody gotta wake you up. I'm just joking, fellas. I'm just joking, all right? But once you wake up, about an hour and a half, shit, you don't care about nothing. You don't. They tell you don't drive. Now I could have driven myself home, but my attitude, I'd have ran over some son of a bitches. Fuck it, because you don't care. You don't care. If I had a tank or monster truck, and that cat cut me off, I'd be doing this show from next to Should, man. Because you don't care. It releases all your hidden, huh?
All right, I'm good. Fruit juice and beaver piss, man. Fruit juice and beaver piss.
Yeah. So get your shot, take it like a man, and just clear your calendar, baby. Clear your calendar.
All right. I'll keep you posted, man. I'll keep you posted. And one more thing on September 20th, that's real important. Also, the Whittier Film Festival at 4 p.m. Lonzo's going to be bouncing around that day, but 4 p.m. Not Without Alonzo, the documentary will be playing at the Starlight Theater in Uptown Whittier, California. This may be one of your only chances to watch the documentary N.W.A. Stories Without Alonzo in theaters with people. So if you're in the LA area, make your way down to Whittier, California. And a few days leading up to the event, I'm going to be posting everything in the Lonzo Williams community section. So please stay tuned there. And if you're in Uptown Whittier, come check it out. It's a very safe area. It's a nice location. It's a real cool theater. And we're really looking forward to it. They'll be playing other movies there as well. But 4 p.m. on Saturday at the Starlight Theater in Whittier, California, N.W.A. Stories with Lonzo will be playing. So it's going to be a busy weekend for you, my man, but that's nothing new to you, dude.
Yeah, no, man, that's what I do. I was looking at my calendar for October. I'm like, damn, I got some days. I might not even come home till from Thursday till Sunday or something in different states. So it's kind of getting busy, man. It's kind of getting busy.
That's good. That's good. Well, let's keep it going, Lonzo, with this YouTube channel documentary, Hip Hop Stories on DJ Yella. I have a couple more, and then we'll jump into the questions from the audience. But let's see here. All right. It says the documentary stated after Wrapped in Romance was released, the video says Dre got tired of the electro funk sound, quote, and him and Yella were frustrated with making, quote, little money. Can you talk to us about that before we jump into the next part?
Well, people say little money, okay? You can say little money now because you got big money. But before then, you had no money. So, and people get their value at the time, at that particular time. Nobody had established themselves as having any real value yet. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm gonna tell you, like I told my nephew yesterday, in my lifetime, I've owned 75 cars, everything from GTOs to 64 Chevys. And when I had those cars in the 60s and 70s, I bought them for $100 and sold them for $2. GTOs, 240Zs, 300Zs. I've owned every kind of car known to man except for a Ford. I never messed with Fords. So when you look back and think about the 300, the 63 Chevy SS that you sold for $300 that you only paid $150 for, but you paid $300. You sold it for $300, and you thought you was making money then. Now that same car is worth $30,000. You might feel some kind of way. So that being said, back in 1984, 85, 86, nobody had been established in making no money. We was all just trying to feel our way through. The original plan was for Dre to produce N.W.A. and stay with World Class Wrecking Crew. We were working. I understand this, man. We were working. But no matter how much you work, if you have bad spending habits, it's hard to keep money. Bottom line, nobody, people got money. Nobody bought apartments. I mean, nobody bought houses or apartments. They had money to do it, but they didn't do that. I did. Nobody else did. So if you don't have any kind of financial literacy and your value is more into having getting hotel rooms and playing games and doing whatever you do, big speakers in your car, whatever you do, it's not my job to tell you what you should or should not do with your money. Although I tried, but I can't make you listen. So when you say little money, yes, everybody was making, I don't know, shit. We go on tour, we split the money up equally. After the manager's fee, we all got the same amount of money. But I had other things going on besides just that. That made it a little bit different. Even after dark, I'm paying 3 DJs. They working 2 hours a night. So how much money are you really supposed to make? Think about that. I'm running Eve like a radio station. So if you made $50 a night, but only working 2 hours a night, that's $25 an hour. You make $100 a week. But I'm paying $400 or $500 because I got 3 guys. You follow me? So going back to Wrecking Crew, same thing. We got paid what we was worth at that time. Nobody had established themselves. It was no hip hop millionaires yet. None. People keep forgetting this. This is the early stages of everything. Wasn't no millionaire hip hop folks in New York. There was nobody running around here with a bunch. They was lying about money, but ain't nobody had none. And we were getting $4 or $5 grand a week per show We were getting 4 or 5 grand a show. How much by the time you pay your road manager, whatever you take care of, plus you getting advances on the road, you can come back home. Shit, Tuesday you broke again, especially if you have no kind of financial training. So, they're trying to making some more money. Yep, but that's what it was. The whole gangster thing was the experiment that worked. That's all it was. It was not. It wasn't like it was a transition. Anybody knew it was going to be the hottest thing since fish grease now, because it came into the world so resistant. Nobody liked that shit in the beginning. Come on, man, people forget. Yeah, you can look back now. He a billionaire. He made hundreds of millions of dollars. But in the beginning, wasn't nobody fucking with that shit. I'm just saying.
So it continues. They said, quote, their vision for the future, speaking of Dre and Yella, quote, their vision for the future clashed with Lonzo's. Obviously, this is a third party saying this, probably a chat GPT prompt, but what do you think was meant by that? Their vision for the future clashed with Lonzo's, even if it's true.
That may have had some truth to it, because being that I am a baby boomer, and Run DMC, who had played the Eve After Dark, was starting to take off, and they thought because Run DMC was wearing jeans and Levi's or Lee's that made them more successful. And but again, we're in the same era as Kool Moe Dee, who never wore no tennis shoes, Houdini, who did not wear tennis shoes, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. We're on that tip. These are the closest relatives to World Class Wrecking Crew. These are the guys that we're kind of modeling ourselves after. UTFO, nobody wasn't wearing tennis shoes back then. Run DMC came out with the tennis shoes with no laces and kind of changed things. But again, Russell was managing this shit. I was part of the group and managing and the label. I was a busy motherfucker. So maybe we did have a clash, because I couldn't see myself walking on stage or grabbing my nuts talking shit. I couldn't do that. That had not been established as the new way to perform in the new generation. Run DMC did it. Nobody else did it but them. They were successful at it. Don't mean we got to copy it. Kool Moe Dee was the shit for a while. Houdini was the shit for a while. So it just had a whole different vibe, man. It was, again, we had limited resources to feed off of.
The early hip hop acts, their style of dress was pretty extravagant. It was very out there, going to the Africa Bambatas, to the Furious Five. They were wearing crazy, extravagant type of outfits. Where do you think the early style of East Coast hip hop that eventually, led out to the rest of the country, where do you think that style of dress came from? If there was a specific, was it funk? What do you think?
I don't know, because when I first saw Africa Bambaataa in them goddamn spacesuits, I'm like, what the fuck? That was some George Clinton shit. That was some knockoff George. But you know what? You never hear anybody talk about that shit. You never hear anybody talk about that shit. They only talk about the Jerry curls and the goddamn sequence that we wore. Grandmaster Flash and Furious Five wore feathers and moccasins and S&M shit. Okay? Houdini, Jaleel wore hot pants and big ass hats. Okay? He was known for wearing hot pants and big ass hats. But again, and here's it. Of all the cats that had Jerry curls, Eazy had Jerry curls, Cube had Jerry curls. Only people they climbed was World Class Wrecking Crew. I don't understand it. And they were supposed to be it was gangsters with Jerry curls. In fact, once Cube cut his off, he was talking about what did he say? Cut that Jerry curl flame on or some shit like that. Yeah. In the diss record. So he wore his for quite some time. But only people that get clowned about Jerry curls is us. Curtis Blow was the king of the curl.
Now, this is the last question regarding the Yella documentary, and then we'll move on to some questions from the audience. Yomo from Yomo and Malky allegedly came up with the name N.W.A. What can you tell us about Yoma and Malky? They don't get mentioned too much other than on this show, and I've seen a few other people notice mention them, but Yoma and Malky.
I don't know if that's exactly true.
Okay, break it down.
I know Yomo has been on. Yomo's a friend of mine. I don't know Moki that well. I might know him, but I've seen him. I haven't spoken to him in quite some time. He mentioned something like that, but I don't recall that really happened. My understanding it happened a totally different way because, excuse me, they were trying to figure out something that was going to be shocking that could compete with Luke Skywalker and his whole sex thing and the gangster reality, the reality, the street rap, the reality raps were they're out, and the word nigger was still very taboo at the time. So to be able to call themselves niggas with attitudes was a shocking situation. They just shortened it to N.W.A. That was my take on it. Because again, people keep forgetting when they first came out, they was doing Wrecking Crew shit, something to dance to in Panic Zone. They weren't doing. And then they did. Their first single was "Express Yourself." Okay, that was not a gangster song. That was just a good song that they redid from the Watts 103rd Street Band. Come on, man. Let's go back. Let's not just ride the surface. Let's go a little deeper now. You'll start seeing that it morphed into something else. So for it to be beginning hardcore, it was never hardcore at the beginning. It was more street, but it wasn't hardcore.
All right, let's get to some questions from the audience. Once again, these are things that we've discussed in the past, but we have new listeners all the time, new viewers. So let's answer it, Lonzo. The beginning scene in Straight Outta Compton. Lou wants to know the beginning scene in Straight Outta Compton, where the house gets raided and Eazy jumps out the window. Is that true?
No, man. I don't see that
Started
happening.
off with some BS on him with the movie.
You know, y'all got to remember that was a movie. It wasn't a documentary. Okay. When Superman walked into the phone booth, he didn't change his clothes, and nobody can tell me that you couldn't tell that Superman and Clark Kent wasn't the same person just by putting on a pair of goddamn glasses. That's bullshit. So yeah, that didn't happen in real life. That was a good opening for a movie, but it was it was that time all the pieces fit. Because Gerald Gates had the police officer, the chief of police had the battle ram, and I don't even think the battle ram was even in Compton. To tell you the truth. That's the LAPD thing. Now, unless that was being taken, unless that was, there was no battle ram in Compton. The battle ram was strictly a LAPD thing. Maybe the sheriff had one too, but Compton was not patrolled by sheriff at that time. So that's Compton PD didn't have a battle ram. So no, that didn't happen, Doc.
That was one of the first hip hop songs I fell in love with. I was 6 years old. I had no idea what a battle ram was, but I was singing the song. It was just a melody and everything. What do you remember about when that song came out, Lonzo? Do you know any inside scoop of how it came out? We've had Toddy T on the show. It's been some years, but maybe we can bring it back on sometime in the near future. But can you talk to us about Toddy T, and not only Toddy T, but the late great Mixmaster Spade?
Those guys were the triple OGs of Compton rap, dude. They were doing reality rap before it was even named reality rap. Mixmaster Spade had one track. I think that was Genius of Love. That he did everything to. He was just using it for different shit and sell his tapes. And Toddy T said, "Hey man, I saw my boy making money," and he started rapping himself. And he did something a little different. And that was the Battle Ram. And he hooked up with my boy Leon Haywood. Leon Haywood had a label called Eve Jam Records. Eve Jam was over on Crenshaw off of MLK. And if y'all don't know who Leon Haywood is, Leon Haywood was the one that did I Want to Do Something Freaky to You, which later became the song from Dre.
G-Thang.
G-Thang. That's the same. It's the same song. Okay. G-Thang ain't nothing but I Want to Do Something Freaky to You by Leon Haywood. So Leon Haywood was a local label owner that gave Toddy T a deal, but he also had record connections because Leon was shit in the 70s. When he had all his teeth, he was the shit. That was a
Yeah.
joke. That was a joke we had. 'Cause Leon, we took him out to eat a corn on the cob. He only had like 17.
That's
But that's
fucked
my
up.
dude. That's my dude. And I love him to death. He passed. And we talked. I'm not saying shit while he gone that I didn't tell him to his face. He would clown my studio. Got your little 3-track studio over there. Think you're making records over there. He just corn on the cob. Work on that for a minute. Call me when you get through. Shit.
Oh, that's hilarious, man. The good old days, dude. Art Chavez wants to know, Lonzo, during your performances, do you pass out in the crowd any vinyl or cassette tapes? Is that still true today, passing out CDs or other collectibles? What has changed? I don't really understand the question, but maybe you do. What I guess he's asking if you ever pass anything out during your shows.
Man.
Any collectibles? And why
No,
that's not a thing
we
nowadays, I
used
think. Yeah.
we used to do that back in the day. We used to do that. That would be something we would take records, promos, and just throw them in the audience. And then they made to stop doing it because somebody got hit upside the head. They didn't trip, but the promoter tripped and he could have got sued. Okay, you throw a record at somebody and you fling it out there. That's something that's flying. That's a pretty nice size frisbee, and it knocked it out of somebody one day, and then people got to fighting because you're only throwing out one. And sometimes it would cause a melee, and we stopped doing it.
Let me ask you, I recently did a piece on my channel on Terry B, who was signed to Eazy-E's Compton Records. Now, the main way people may remember Terry B is she was the white girl that Eazy-E signed. There are several pictures of her and Eazy on the net right now, but do you know anything about Terry B? And do you know anything, did Eazy ever talk to you about Compton Records and that whole thing?
Compton Records was actually the parent company of Ruthless Records. Nobody don't know that. There was another Ruthless Records, and the guy wouldn't sell the name to him. It was another corporation named Ruthless Records, and the guy wouldn't sell the name to him. So Eazy founded Compton, and he made Ruthless a subsidiary of Compton. True story. Look it up.
Okay.
Look
But
it
do you know
up.
anything about Terry B, the white girl?
Nah, man, that was past me. She got past me. All I know is her and Dre had issues. That's all I know.
Okay.
I know she was pretty good. I know she was a pretty good rapper, but I never met her. I can't recall ever meeting her in person.
Okay. Strictly Funk says, Lonzo, is Bootsy Collins the godfather of funk?
I would say George Clinton would be, if anybody was. If anybody would be godfather of funk, Bootsy came from George. I mean, yeah, George picked up Bootsy. James Brown would be for all them cats, because everybody stole from James Brown. Anybody turn horns into a drum, you got to be funky. Bootsy, yeah, I don't know, man. Bootsy was around for a while. Bootsy played with George. He played with Bob. He played with James Brown. He played with Parliament Funkadelic, George Clinton, James Brown. He had his own thing. Now Bootsy is funky. Well, Bootsy, man, help me if I'm wrong. As much as I like Dollar Bill or them telephone bill. Okay, telephone bill. I've never played a Bootsy record in a club. I've never played a Bootsy record in the club. I've never, listening wise, he's funky as shit. But when it came to the dance floor, I don't have Bootsy. I don't think I have a Bootsy file on my computer. I have the record, some of the songs are there. But Rubber Band, that didn't do a whole lot. That was cool. But without George out front, it wasn't the same, Doc. That's just my personal opinion. Had nothing to do with anybody else, YouTube, anybody else.
Okay. All right, let's play Butterfly Effect again, Lonzo. For anyone who doesn't know Butterfly Effect, it's a theory. If one thing is taken out of something in history, then it's going to change the whole dynamic. We talked about it earlier. All right, Butterfly Effect. Take James Brown out of music, period. James Brown never existed. Never was a person. We don't know who James Brown is. Would hip hop be around? Would hip hop have existed?
No, I don't think so. I think James Brown he gave them the initial format. James Brown was rapping. He was rapping back in the 70s. All right. And I remember people back in the 70s that didn't like James Brown because sometimes he would rap. He wouldn't sing, he just rapped. He wasn't the best rapper, called pot of greens and the yams. Okay, he say some shit, that was way out the side of his mouth. And the tracks, because he allowed the musicians to vamp. That's what they call a repetitive chord. That was called a vamp. Bum 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 bum, and he would do that, and that would give him something to rap on top of, and it also laid the groundwork for rappers to do the same thing. I think, of all the artists, I think James Brown would probably be the one I would give that credibility and credit to, because not only did he rap, he also gave us the music, gave us the format, and he also gave us Funky Drummer. One of the most sampled fucking drums samples of all time. Boosie Boosie got some shit, but Boosie ain't got Funky Drummer.
We may have talked about this, but when did James Brown jump in and be like, hey, hold on, I think I should be getting paid for this? Do you know any history behind that?
Not really. It was always suspected. Nobody just didn't know how to do it. The shit wasn't even named yet. It wasn't even named till after they made the machine to do it. They were just grabbing tracks and putting it into a sampler. Okay? A sampler was not designed to do music. It was designed to do sounds. You can take a sampler and sample anything, any sound, and turn it into a keyboarded sound. Okay? Whether it was a typewriter, you would give it would get 8 different tones based on whatever key you pushed on the sampler. And when the hip hop cats realized they can do it and they started sampling records, that changed everything.
The biggest hip hop record at that time, obviously Sugar Hill Gang, going back to about 79, the first big hip hop record to ever, hit the main stage, was a sampled song. It was sampled Good Times, I believe.
Right.
Yeah. Do you know if she got paid for that, or do you know anything behind that?
Oh hell yeah. I think that's what scared the hell out of me when Nile Rodgers and the other dude got together and jumped on Sugar Hill's ass. It scared the shit out of me. That's why I didn't release my song that used Rock Skate Roll Bounce. Okay, all I heard was lawsuit. I don't know. You don't know. You don't know that it's all about money. You think it might be some money and jail time and shit. I ain't never been one for going to jail, so I left it alone.
All right, we have a few more minutes. Aaron Collins has a good question. I wasn't living out here at the time, but I did find out that the Compton Police Department got discontinued and replaced by the sheriffs. Why was that?
Allegedly, there was some corruption in the Compton Police Department. At that time, the mayor was Omar Bradley, and Huey Taylor was the chief, and there was some improprieties going down. And I think what really got everything started, got the ball started. Well, there was a gun that was confiscated in Compton, and somehow or another it left the property room, ended up shooting a cop in Long Beach, and that's when the ball started. It was allegedly a serious hole in the seal of Compton's PD. I'm gonna leave it like that. And that situation right there caused people to like, what? Wait. This gun got confiscated in Compton, and now it's on Long Beach in the city of Long Beach and shot a cop. We got a problem. And that's when they started moving on the sheriff.
All right, man. About to wrap it up. We got about a minute or so left. Once again, thank you to everybody who joined the channel. And make sure before you guys head out, you hit that like button. And once again, if this is your first time joining the channel and you want that real West Coast hip hop, please hit that subscribe button. Check out some of our old videos. I mean, we have interviews with the who's who of hip hop. I mean, we just talked about Toddy T. Type in Lonzo Williams, Toddy T, and just check out that interview. It's a great historical piece of what was going on in West Coast hip hop. But we have interviews from everybody from Young MC, Razkaz, Crazy Bone, Reggie White. I mean, there's so many interviews on this channel. I want you guys to go down that rabbit hole and check it out. But any last words, Lonzo, before we wrap it up and call it a day?
If you can't make it out Saturday, folks, feel free to donate. Go to lyricalrevolution.org and hit the Cash App, hit the Zelle. I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yep. Hit him with that outro, man.
All right, for those who never heard of me, I'm the first one to put Dr. Dre in the surgery, stuck Ice Cube in the freezer till he got cold on the eve after dark, 50-yard line to Super Bowl. In the movie Straight Outta Compton, they played me like a hater of rap. Don't believe in the Hollywood bullshit because it was all cap. My history goes deeper than you will ever know. Just remember that N.W.A. stands for not without Alonzo. Peace, y'all.